I saw her at the bakery today, boy tells Millionaire, crying at his wife's grave for days. Michael Anderson felt tears streaming down his face as he gently touched the framed photo of Jennifer. It had been 3 days since he started coming to Evergreen Cemetery, always at the same time, always with the same suffocating pain in his chest. Her absence was a void that grew deeper with every passing hour. That's when he felt 2 small arms wrap around him from behind. He turned and saw the boy who lived in the house next to the cemetery, always playing among the stone pathways. The boy had big, curious eyes, and Michael had noticed him watching from a distance a few times. "Are you sad again?" the boy asked, still holding on to him. Michael tried to smile but couldn't. A week ago, Jennifer had disappeared without a trace. Family, friends, everyone feared the worst. Her car had been found abandoned by the river, along with a goodbye letter he had read 1,000 times. "Yes, little one, I'm very sad," Michael replied, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. The boy stepped back slightly and looked straight at him with a seriousness that seemed unusual for a child. "I saw her at the bakery today," he suddenly said. Michael froze. His heart pounded, but reason quickly took over. It was impossible. Jennifer was gone. He had arranged the farewell ceremony himself, even without her body. "Little one, you don't understand. The woman in the photo, she isn't with us anymore," Michael explained gently. "But I did see her," the boy insisted, shaking his head vigorously. "She was buying sweet rolls just like the ones my grandma makes. I recognized her face because you always show her picture." A chill ran down Michael's spine. The boy sounded so sure, so sincere. But how could it be? Jennifer had left a letter saying she couldn't go on, that her struggles were too much to bear. "Which bakery, son?" Michael asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Frank's bakery, the one on the street behind my house. She was wearing sunglasses and a scarf, but I knew it was her. My mom says I'm good at remembering faces." Michael knew the bakery, a small place mostly visited by locals. Jennifer had never been there, at least not that he knew of. But what if it was true? What if the letter was fake? What if she was running from something? He looked at the photo again. Jennifer was smiling, the same smile that had won him over 15 years ago when they met at the University of California. She was a literature professor. He was a business administration student. 2 different worlds colliding by chance in a library. "Are you absolutely sure?" Michael asked, crouching to meet the boy's height. "Yes. She even tripped when she left the bakery, and I almost went to help, but my mom called me. She got into a white van parked nearby." Michael stood up quickly. A white van. Jennifer had always been afraid of big cars. She preferred small ones. But why would she be in a van? And why at a neighborhood bakery? Suddenly, a flood of questions overwhelmed him. All week he had accepted the official story. Jennifer had been depressed for months, lost her job at the high school where she taught, and was struggling financially. The letter had seemed real. The handwriting was hers. But now, with the boy's account, new possibilities emerged. What if Jennifer was hiding something he didn't know about? What if someone had forced her to write that letter? What if she was afraid and had run away? "What's your name, little one?" Michael asked. Ethan Wilson." "I live over there with Grandma Margaret," the boy replied, pointing to a modest house across the street. "Ethan, can you show me exactly where you saw her?" The boy nodded and began walking toward the exit of Evergreen Cemetery. Michael followed him, feeling a mix of hope and despair. If Jennifer were alive, where was she? Why hadn't she contacted him? What had happened to make her disappear like this? As they walked through the neighborhood streets, Michael observed everything around him. It was a simpler area, with small houses and local businesses, very different from Beverly Hills, where he had lived with Jennifer. Why would she be here? "It's here," Ethan said, stopping in front of a small bakery with a simple sign, "St. Joseph's Bakery." Michael entered the shop. The owner, a middle-aged man in a white apron, greeted him politely. "Good afternoon. How can I help you?" "Mr. Frank?" Michael asked. "Yes, that's me. I was wondering if you remember a customer who was here today, a woman with brown hair about this tall." Michael gestured, indicating Jennifer's height. She was wearing sunglasses and a scarf. Frank thought for a few seconds. Yes, I remember. She was one of the first customers this morning. Bought 2 sweet rolls and a soda, paid in cash and left. Why? Did something happen? Michael's heart raced. It was real. Jennifer had been there. She was alive. Did she say anything? Did she seem nervous? Well, she was quiet. Asked if I knew of any places to rent around here, something simple and cheap. Said it was for a friend looking for a temporary place. Frank's words echoed in Michael's mind. Jennifer was looking for a place to live, somewhere simple and cheap, completely different from the life they had shared. Why would she do that? Did you recommend anywhere? I mentioned Mrs. Gladys. She has rooms for rent up the street. Always advertises on the bulletin board here. Frank pointed to a notice board beside the counter. Michael thanked him and left the bakery with Ethan. His mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. Jennifer was alive. She was in the area, and she seemed to be looking for a place to hide. But from what? Or from whom? Ethan, did you see which way the white van went? It went up that street toward the town square. My grandma said there are lots of rental houses there. Michael decided to investigate. He needed to find Jennifer and understand what was happening. 15 years of marriage, and he realized he knew his wife less than he thought. They walked up the street Ethan had pointed out. It was an area of old houses, some converted into boarding rooms or rentals. Michael stopped in front of a house with a sign, "Rooms for rent, Mrs. Gladys." He took a deep breath and rang the bell. A woman around 60 answered, with a warm smile on her face. "Good afternoon, ma'am. Are you Mrs. Gladys?" "Yes, dear. Are you looking for a room?" "Actually, I'm looking for my wife. Did a young woman come by today asking about rentals?" Mrs. Gladys hesitated for a moment, looking Michael up and down. His expensive suit and designer watch contrasted with the simplicity of the place. "Yes, she did. Pretty girl, seemed nervous. Asked about the back room, said she needed somewhere private. Told me she needed a place to stay for a few days, that she was dealing with personal problems." "Did she rent it?" "She did, paid a week in advance in cash. Said her name was Mary Smith, but I noticed she hesitated before saying it. Made it very clear she didn't want visitors and needed privacy." Michael felt a mix of relief and worry. Jennifer was here, just a few feet away, using a fake name. Something very serious must have happened for her to go this far. "Mrs. Gladys, I'm Michael Anderson, her husband. My real name is Jennifer. We've been married for 15 years and she disappeared a week ago. She left a letter saying that she couldn't take it anymore." Mrs. Gladys's expression changed completely. She looked at Ethan, who remained silent beside Michael, and then back at the businessman. "Oh my God, she seemed so scared. She asked if the room had a back exit, if it was possible to come and go without anyone seeing. I thought it was strange, but I figured it was some family trouble." "Is she there now?" "Yes, she arrived about 2 hours ago and hasn't left since, but my dear, if she's hiding even from her husband, there must be a serious reason. Maybe you should think carefully before—" "Mrs. Gladys," Michael interrupted. His voice choked. "This week has been the worst of my life. I thought I'd lost her forever. Whatever the problem is, we can solve it together." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Mrs. Gladys fell silent for a few seconds, clearly torn between helping Michael and respecting Jennifer's privacy. "All right," she finally said. "It's the last room down the back hallway, but be gentle, she's very fragile." Michael thanked her and entered the house, followed by Ethan. His heart pounded so loudly he could hear it. In just a few minutes, he'd be face to face with Jennifer, and he'd finally learn the truth about what had happened. The hallway was narrow and dimly lit. Michael walked slowly, trying to process everything he'd discovered in the last few hours. That morning, he'd woken up convinced Jennifer that she had said goodbye forever. Now he was about to find her in a rented room, hiding like a fugitive. He stopped in front of the last door, took a deep breath and knocked lightly. "Jennifer, it's me, Michael." Silence. "Jennifer, I know you're in there. Ethan saw you at the bakery. I just want to talk, please." Still nothing. Michael tried the doorknob. It was unlocked. He opened it slowly and stepped inside. Jennifer was sitting on the edge of the bed, her back to the door. She wore simple clothes, nothing like what she usually wore. When she heard the door open, she didn't turn around, but Michael noticed her body tense. "How did you find me?" she asked without turning. "Ethan saw you at the bakery. Jennifer, what's going on? Why did you do this to me? I thought the letter said—" Jennifer finally turned. Michael could see she'd been crying heavily. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she looked like she'd lost weight in just a few days. "You shouldn't have come here," she said, her voice hoarse. "How could I not? You're my wife. 15 years, Jennifer. 15 years together, and you just disappear, leave a letter saying goodbye. Do you have any idea what I've been through this week?" Jennifer lowered her head. Michael moved closer and sat beside her on the bed. "Talk to me. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together." "Oh, you don't understand," Jennifer said, still not looking at him. "It can't be fixed. I ruined everything. I ruined our life, your future, everything." "What are you talking about?" Jennifer stayed quiet for a few minutes. Michael waited, giving her time. Finally, she spoke, still avoiding his gaze. "Remember when I lost my job at the high school?" "I remember. You said it was because of budget cuts." "I lied." Jennifer took a deep breath. "I was fired for cause." Michael felt a tightness in his chest. "Why?" "I took money from the Spring Festival fundraiser, $500. I was going to return it the next day, but the principal found out first." Michael stayed silent, trying to process the information. Jennifer had never shown any issues with money before. They weren't rich, but they lived comfortably on their combined income. "Why did you need the money?" Jennifer finally looked at him, and Michael saw deep pain in her eyes. "To pay a hospital bill. A bill you don't know exists." "What bill? Are you sick?" "Not me, my brother." Michael was confused. "What brother?" "Jennifer, you always said you didn't have any siblings." "I have a half-brother, David, my father's son with another woman. I met him when he left. David has mental health issues and has lived in a clinic for 15 years. I pay for his treatment." Michael felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. 15 years of marriage, and Jennifer had kept a brother a secret. How was that possible? "Jennifer, why didn't you ever tell me?" "Because I was ashamed." She began to cry. "Ashamed of my family's situation, ashamed that my father left us to live with another woman, ashamed of having a brother with mental health problems. But I love you. I would have understood. I would have helped." "I know. But when we met, you came from a stable, educated, successful family. I didn't want you to know about my messy past." Michael tried to hug her, but Jennifer pulled away. "It doesn't end there," she said. "I took the money from the high school because the clinic was threatening to transfer David to the public system. Private treatment costs $3,000 a month, and I was 2 months behind." $3,000 a month? Michael quickly did the math. "Jennifer, over 15 years, that's more than $500,000. How did you manage to pay for all that?" Jennifer closed her eyes, as if gathering the courage to continue. "With the money you gave me for household expenses, I always saved wherever I could. I bought cheaper products, cut costs where possible, lied about certain things costing more than they did." Michael felt anger rising inside him. Not anger at Jennifer for having a brother or hiding it from him, but anger that she had carried this burden alone for so long. "Jennifer, you spent 15 years of your life struggling, lying to me about expenses, suffering alone. Why? Why didn't you trust me?" "Because I love you too much," she answered between sobs. "Because you've always been too good for me. Because I was afraid you'd give up on me if you knew about all this mess. And now? Why did you run away? Why the letter?" "Because I found out David needs urgent surgery. It costs $50,000. 50,000, Michael. I had no way to get that. I was already behind with the clinic, I'd lost my job, and I'd been dishonest. I thought if I disappeared, you could rebuild your life with someone better." Michael stood up from the bed, running his hands through his hair. 15 years of lies, but lies motivated by love. Jennifer had sacrificed her own quality of life to care for her brother and protect their marriage. "Jennifer, look at me," he said, sitting back down beside her. She raised her tear-streaked face. "You're the love of my life. 15 years, Jennifer. 15 years of waking up every day, happy to have you by my side. Do you think a sick brother or financial problems will change that? But I lied to you for years. You lied because you love me, because you wanted to protect me. Was it wrong? Yes, but I understand your reasons. Michael cupped her face in his hands. Now answer me one thing. Do you want to stay married to me? Jennifer nodded, crying even harder. Then let's go home and fix this together, like it should have been. From the start. But David's surgery, the $50,000... Jennifer, you know what I earn. $50,000 won't break us, and even if it did, it wouldn't matter. David is your brother. He's family. He's ours. Jennifer hugged Michael tightly, as if afraid he might disappear. Are you sure? Absolutely sure you won't regret this? The only thing I regret is not knowing sooner. That you suffered, alone all these years. At that moment, Ethan appeared in the bedroom doorway. Michael had completely forgotten about the boy. Everything okay in here? Ethan asked with his childlike innocence. Jennifer looked at him and smiled for the first time since Michael had arrived. Who is this angel? She asked. That's Ethan. He's the one who saw you at the bakery and told me. If it weren't for him, I never would have found you. Jennifer stood up and crouched in front of Ethan. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much, she said, hugging the boy. You won't be sad anymore? Ethan asked. No, I won't, Jennifer replied, looking at Michael. Now we're all going to be okay. Michael stood and turned to Mrs. Gladys, who had appeared in the hallway, curious about the commotion. Mrs. Gladys, thank you so much for taking care of my wife. How much does she owe you? Nothing, dear. She already paid for the week up front. I'm just happy to see you two work things out. Michael pulled $200 from his pocket and handed it to her. For your kindness and discretion. Mrs. Gladys tried to refuse, but Michael insisted. They left the boarding house together. Michael, Jennifer, and Ethan walked toward Michael's car, parked near Evergreen Cemetery. Jennifer, Michael said when they reached the car, I want to meet your brother. I want to meet David. Jennifer stopped walking and looked at him. Really? Really? Today, if possible. I've already wasted too much time away from my whole family. In that moment, Michael felt he was discovering a new Jennifer, a woman who, for 15 years, had been strong enough to carry the burden of caring for a sick brother alone while maintaining a happy, stable marriage. Ethan, Michael called, where's your grandmother? I'd like to thank her too. She's at home making lunch. Want to come eat with us? The boy asked eagerly. Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances. Should we? Michael asked. Yes, Jennifer replied, smiling. It was the first truly family meal Michael had felt in a long time. Mrs. Margaret's home, Ethan's grandmother, was simple but welcoming. The 68-year-old woman greeted the couple with genuine warmth, asking no prying questions. Over lunch, Michael watched Jennifer. She seemed lighter, as if a great weight had lifted from her shoulders. She chatted with Ethan about school, helped Mrs. Margaret serve the food, and smiled naturally. Mrs. Margaret, Michael said, you have a very special grandson. He saved our family today. Ethan's always been like that, observant and brave. Even as a little boy, he noticed things adults missed, his grandmother replied proudly. It's true, Jennifer agreed. If it weren't for him, I would have made the biggest mistake of my life. After lunch, Michael and Jennifer said goodbye and headed to the clinic where David was staying. During the car ride, Jennifer shared more about her brother. David has schizophrenia. Symptoms started when he was 15. My father couldn't handle it and left the family. My mother tried to care for him alone, but she didn't have the financial or emotional means. And you took that responsibility by yourself. I was 18 and had just started working. It was the only way David could get proper treatment. I promised my mother before she passed that I'd look after him. Michael understood the weight Jennifer had carried since she was so young. At 18, most people worry about school and fun. Jennifer had taken on the responsibility of caring for a sick brother. How did you manage to hide this from me all these years? David was always hospitalized. I used to visit him on Saturday mornings when you were playing basketball with your friends. I'd say I was going to the beauty salon or running errands. Sometimes I made up work commitments. Michael felt a pang of guilt. All those Saturdays he'd spent carefree playing basketball, Jennifer had been dealing with her brother's illness. Does he know you're married? He does, I always talk about you. He even asks when he'll get to meet his brother-in-law. They arrived at the clinic. It was a simple place, but clean and well kept. Jennifer greeted the staff with familiarity, making it clear she was a frequent visitor. "How's David today?" Jennifer asked a nurse. "He's doing well, Jennifer. Yesterday he asked where you were. You haven't visited in 3 days. I had some personal issues, but now I've brought someone to meet him." They went up to the second floor. Michael felt his anxiety growing. In just a few minutes, he'd meet someone who had been a fundamental part of Jennifer's life for 15 years, someone he knew absolutely nothing about. Jennifer stopped in front of a room and lightly knocked. "David, it's me, Jennifer." "Jennifer," a man's voice answered from inside. "Come in, little sister." Michael followed Jennifer in and saw a man around 35, thin with dark hair and eyes that reminded him of Jennifer's. David was sitting in a chair reading a book. "David, this is Michael, my husband," Jennifer said, her voice emotional. David stood and extended his hand to Michael. "Finally, Jennifer talks about you so much. I already consider you family." Michael shook David's hand, noticing that despite his illness, he seemed lucid and articulate. "David, I'm so sorry I didn't meet you sooner." Jennifer explained the situation, and I understand why she kept it private. "She always wanted to protect you," David said, sitting back down. "I told her to tell you, but she was afraid it would scare you." Michael looked at Jennifer, who was silently crying. "David," Michael said, "Jennifer told me about the surgery you need. I want you to know we'll take care of everything. You're my brother-in-law, your family." David was silent for a few seconds, processing Michael's words. "Are you sure? It's a lot of money." "I'm absolutely sure. In fact, I want to talk to the doctors today to schedule the procedure." Jennifer hugged Michael, crying with emotion. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for understanding all of this." The conversation with the doctors was enlightening. David needed surgery to implant a device that would help control his schizophrenia symptoms. The procedure was relatively new, but had shown very positive results in other patients. With this implant, David could live a much more normal life, explained Dr. Richard, the physician in charge. He might even be able to live outside the clinic with outpatient care. Michael and Jennifer exchanged a meaningful glance. "Doctor," Michael said, "how soon can we schedule the surgery?" "If we get approval from the health insurance or private payment, we can schedule it for next week." "Private payment? Go ahead and schedule it." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. They left the clinic with the surgery scheduled for the following Monday. Michael felt his life had completely changed in a single day. He'd woken up thinking he'd lost Jennifer forever, and now he was ending the day gaining a brother-in-law and an expanded family. "Michael," Jennifer said in the car, "there's something else I haven't told you." Michael's stomach tightened. "After so many revelations in one day, I didn't know if I could handle any more surprises." "What is it?" "My mother, she didn't pass away. She's alive." Michael pulled the car over to the side of the road. "What do you mean?" "She's in a nursing home. She has advanced Alzheimer's. She hasn't recognized me in 5 years, but I pay the monthly fees and visit her every week." Michael took a deep breath. Another secret. Another financial responsibility Jennifer had taken on alone. "How much does it cost?" $2,000 a month. Michael did the quick math. $5,000 a month that Jennifer had been taking from the household budget for years without him knowing. How had she managed to make it work for so long? "Jennifer, $5,000 a month. That's almost half your salary at the high school." "It was. That's why I was so frugal at home. I bought everything. At the cheapest places, cooked only the essentials, pretended things cost more when you asked." Michael began to piece it together. Jennifer's mysteriously thrifty shopping, her refusal to travel or buy things for herself, her insistence on saving electricity and water. "Is that why you never wanted to get a new car?" "That's why. That's why I never wanted to eat out. Why I never accepted your travel plans. Every dollar saved was a dollar I could use to take care of David and Mom." Michael felt a growing admiration for Jennifer. The woman he had assumed was simply frugal by nature had actually been making enormous sacrifices for her family. "I want to meet your mother too." "Michael, she won't recognize you. She doesn't even recognize me." "It doesn't matter. She's your mother, my mother-in-law. I want to meet her." They drove to the nursing home. It was a well-kept place, with beautiful gardens and attentive staff. Michael realized Jennifer had chosen the best possible care for her mother, even if it meant sacrificing her own quality of life. Jennifer's mother, Mrs. Catherine, was sitting on a bench in the garden, staring blankly at the horizon. She was a lovely woman of 62, but her gaze was distant, a telltale sign of her illness. "Mom," Jennifer said, sitting beside her, "I came to visit. I brought someone to meet you." Mrs. Catherine looked at Jennifer without recognition, then turned the same empty expression toward Michael. "Mom, this is Michael, my husband. Remember how I always talk about Michael?" "Michael," Mrs. Catherine repeated, with no apparent connection to the name. Michael sat on the other side of Mrs. Catherine. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Catherine. Jennifer always speaks so fondly of you." They spent about an hour at the nursing home. Michael watched Jennifer talk to her mother, sharing stories of everyday life, even though she knew her mother wouldn't understand. It was pure love, with no expectation of anything in return. When they left, Michael was emotionally drained. In one day, he had discovered a completely new side of his wife, a woman who, for 15 years, had lived a double life, not out of deceit, but out of overwhelming love. "Jennifer," Michael said when they got home, "I want to make a change in our lives." "What kind of change?" "I want us to move to a bigger house, with room for David to live with us after his surgery." Jennifer stopped walking and stared at Michael. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. David is your brother. He's my family now. If the surgery works and he can live normally, why shouldn't he live with us?" "But Michael, taking care of someone with schizophrenia isn't easy. There are bad days, episodes, medications." "So what? You took care of him alone all these years. Now we'll do it together." Jennifer hugged Michael tightly. "How could I ever doubt you? How could I think you wouldn't understand? Because you love me too much and were afraid of losing me. But Jennifer, listen to me and never forget this. You are the love of my life. There is nothing in this world that could make me give up on you." That night, for the first time in years, Jennifer told Michael Anderson all her worries, all her fears, all the challenges she was facing. They talked until dawn, planning the future, discussing how to organize the finances of their now expanded family. "Michael," Jennifer said, already lying down, "there's one last thing I need to tell you." Michael laughed. "Another surprise? This one's a good one. 2 months ago, I found out I'm pregnant." Michael sat up abruptly in bed. "What?" "I'm 2 months pregnant. That's why our financial situation got so desperate. On the top of all the expenses, now I had to prepare for the baby." Michael was silent for a few seconds, processing the news. "Jennifer, we're having a baby." "We are. And he or she will have a very special uncle." Michael hugged Jennifer, feeling complete happiness for the first time in a long while. The next day, Michael woke up with a different feeling. For the first time in 15 years of marriage, he truly knew his wife. There were no more secrets between them. During breakfast, Jennifer seemed more relaxed than she had in months. "What are we doing today?" she asked. "First, we're going to the bank to sort out the payment for Ethan's surgery. Then we'll look for a new house. And this afternoon, I want you to take me to all the places that were part of your secret routine." Jennifer laughed. "My secret routine? I want to see the discount grocery store where you shopped, the pharmacy where you bought Ethan's medicine, all the places you went without me knowing." It was Michael's way of connecting with the life Jennifer had lived, alongside theirs, a life of sacrifices and responsibilities she had kept hidden out of love. At the bank, Michael spoke with the manager about transferring the $50,000 to the clinic. It was a significant amount, but it wouldn't jeopardize their finances. "Jennifer," Michael said as they waited for the paperwork, "from now on I want to handle the family finances. Not because I don't trust you, but because you've carried this burden alone for far too long." "But Michael, you don't understand what it's like to manage all these expenses." "Then teach me. I want to learn everything about Ethan's needs, your mother's treatment, all the costs. I want to be a real partner." Jennifer nodded, tears in her eyes. When searching for their new home, Michael had specific criteria. He wanted a place with at least 3 bedrooms, one for them, one for Ethan, and one for the baby on the way. He also wanted a garden where Ethan could spend time outside. "Michael," Jennifer said as they visited the 5th house of the day, "are you sure you want to do all this? Move houses, live with Ethan, take on all these responsibilities?" "Jennifer, for 15 years, you did all of this alone. I want to make up for those 15 years I wasn't there. I want to be the husband you deserved from the start." They found the perfect house in the neighborhood next to theirs. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a spacious garden, and close to both the clinic where Ethan received treatment and the nursing home where Catherine lived. "This is the one," Michael said as soon as they walked in. "But Michael, it's expensive, much more than our current house." "So what? Now we have a bigger family. We need more space." By late afternoon, they went to visit Ethan Wilson and Margaret. Michael had bought gifts to thank the boy for his help. "Ethan," Michael said, "I got this for you," and handed him a brand new bicycle. The boy's eyes lit up. "Just for me? Just for you, for saving our family?" Margaret tried to refuse, saying it was too expensive, but Michael insisted. "Margaret, if it weren't for Ethan, I would have lost Jennifer forever. There's no gift that could ever repay this." Jennifer hugged Ethan and whispered in his ear, "Thank you, Angel. You saved our family." "Will we still be friends?" Ethan asked. "Of course," Michael replied. "In fact, we're moving to a house nearby. You'll be able to visit us anytime." The following week was full of big changes. Michael organized the move to their new home, scheduled David's surgery, and began learning about the care routine Jennifer had maintained for years. On Monday, the day of David's surgery, Michael and Jennifer arrived early at the clinic. David was nervous, but confident. "Michael," David said before entering the operating room, "thank you for taking care of Jennifer all these years. And thank you for accepting me into the family. David, you've always been family. I just took a while to realize it." The surgery lasted 4 hours. Michael stayed by Jennifer's side the whole time, holding her hand, sharing the anxiety and hope. When Dr. Richard stepped out of the operating room with a smile, Michael and Jennifer knew everything had gone well. "The surgery was a complete success," the doctor said. "The implant is working perfectly. David will need a few days to recover, but the results should be visible in just a few weeks." Jennifer broke down in tears of relief. Michael held her close, feeling like all the pieces of their life's puzzle were finally falling into place. During David's recovery, Michael visited the clinic daily. He met other patients, spoke with doctors and nurses, and came to understand the world Jennifer had been part of for so long. "She's special," Dr. Richard told Michael during one visit. "In 15 years of treating David, I've never seen Jennifer miss a visit or delay a payment. She sacrificed so much to care for him." "I know, and now I'll make up for all the time she carried this alone." 2 weeks after the surgery, David was discharged. The doctors were amazed by his quick recovery and the improvement in his symptoms. "David can live a normal life," Dr. Richard explained. "He'll need daily medication and weekly checkups, but he can work, study, and have an active social life." On the day David moved into their new home, Michael threw a small party. He invited Ethan and Margaret, along with some of his co-workers, who had become family friends. "David," Michael said during the celebration, "welcome to our home, officially our home." David was visibly emotional. It was the first time in 15 years he had lived in a home with a family. "I don't know how to thank you, Michael. Jennifer, you two have changed my life." "We're family," Jennifer replied. "Families take care of each other." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. The months that followed were full of adjustments and discoveries. David settled perfectly into the household routine. He helped with chores, kept Jennifer company when Michael was at work, and showed a special talent for cooking. "David," Jennifer said one day, Have you ever thought about working in food service? I've always loved cooking. At the clinic, I helped in the kitchen whenever I could. Michael had an idea. David, how about we start a small business? A diner or a bakery? Really? Really. You cook, Jennifer handles the business side, and I'll provide the funding. It could be a good income for the family. The diner idea moved quickly. They found a small commercial space near the high school where Jennifer had once worked. David developed a menu of sandwiches and snacks. Jennifer managed the administrative side, and Michael invested in equipment. Family Diner. Opened 3 months after David left the clinic. The business was an immediate success. David proved to be a talented cook, and his charismatic personality quickly won over the customers. Michael, Jennifer said one night, already 6 months pregnant, can you believe how much our lives have changed? Changed for the better. Much better. Remember when you found me in that room, crying, thinking I had lost everything? I remember. You hadn't lost anything, you just hadn't realized you were never alone. At that moment, David walked into the room, bringing tea for Jennifer. Sis, the doctor said you need to rest more. Tomorrow, I'll handle the diner. Alone. Thank you, David, but are you sure you can manage? Of course I can, I learned from the best, David said, winking at Jennifer. Michael watched the scene with satisfaction. His family was complete, united, happy. David had become not just a brother-in-law, but a brother to him as well. A few weeks later, they received an unexpected visit. Ethan showed up at the diner with Margaret. Ethan, Jennifer exclaimed, I've missed you so much. I came with some news, Ethan said with his usual smile. What news? My grandma said we can adopt you as family. If you want to, of course. Michael and Jennifer laughed. Of course we want to, Michael said. You're already our chosen family. Margaret walked over to Jennifer. My dear, I'm so happy to see how close you've all become. Ethan never stops talking about you. Margaret, Ethan saved our family. He's our guardian angel. And he's going to be the baby's uncle too, David added. Ethan beamed at the idea of being an uncle. When the day of the baby's birth arrived, the whole family was at Memorial Hospital. Michael, David, Ethan, and Margaret waited anxiously in the hallway. It's a girl, Michael shouted as he came out of the delivery room. What will you name her? Ethan asked. Michael looked at Jennifer, who was holding the baby in her arms. Hope, Jennifer said, because she represents the hope of a new life for our family. David stepped closer to meet his niece. Hi, Hope. I'm your Uncle David. I'll teach you how to cook when you grow up. Ethan also wanted to hold the baby. Hi, Hope. I'm your Uncle Ethan. I'll teach you how to ride a bike. Michael watched the whole scene with emotion. A year. Earlier, he thought he had lost Jennifer. Now he had a large and happy family. 6 months after Hope's birth, Jennifer had an idea. Michael, what if we expand the diner? Expand how? We could hire more people going through tough times like David did. Give opportunities to those who need a second chance. Michael loved the idea. They turned the diner into a small restaurant, hiring former psychiatric clinic patients and people in vulnerable situations. The Second Chance restaurant became a landmark in town, not just for the quality of the food, but for the human story behind the business. David, Michael said one day, do you remember when Jennifer told me she couldn't take living anymore? I remember. It was the saddest day of my life. I thought I was going to lose my sister. She was wrong. She could take it. She just needed help carrying the weight. And you showed up at the right time. No, David, you all came into my life at the right time. You taught me what real family means. 2 years later, Catherine had an unexpected improvement. She began recognizing Jennifer again for short but meaningful periods. Jennifer, Catherine said during one visit. My daughter, Jennifer cried with emotion. Yes, Mom, it's me. Are you okay? Are you taking care of David? I am, Mom. David is doing great. Would you like to meet your granddaughter? Jennifer showed Catherine a photo of Hope. She's beautiful, Catherine said with a lucid smile. Just like you. They were rare but precious moments. Michael began accompanying Jennifer on her visits, and on Catherine's good days she showed joy at seeing him. "Michael," Catherine said on one such occasion, "thank you for taking care of my Jennifer. Thank you for raising such a special daughter, Catherine." One day, 3 years after their reunion at Evergreen Cemetery, Michael was organizing old papers when he found the letter Jennifer had left behind. He reread the words that had caused so much pain. "Michael, by the time you read this letter, I'll no longer be here. I couldn't bear carrying the weight of my secrets alone. You deserve someone better, someone without so many problems. Forgive me." Michael took the letter to Jennifer. "Look what I found." Jennifer read it and shook her head. "How could I have written this? How could I have thought you wouldn't understand?" "Because you were overwhelmed and scared. But look where we are now." Michael pointed to the backyard, where David played with Hope while Ethan watched them. Margaret sat on the porch knitting. "Our family," Jennifer said, smiling. "Our chosen family," Michael corrected. That night, Michael looked out the bedroom window and saw Evergreen Cemetery in the distance where it had all begun. The place that had symbolized an end had become the start of a new life. "Jennifer," Michael said, "remember what you asked. Me in that boarding house room." "What?" "If I was sure I wouldn't regret it." "I remember. Today I can give you my final answer. Not only do I not regret it, but I thank my lucky stars every day for discovering who you really are. A strong, brave, loving woman, the perfect mother for Hope, the perfect sister for David, the perfect daughter for Catherine, and the perfect wife for you? The perfect wife for me." Jennifer nestled into Michael's arms. "Michael, can I confess something?" "Of course." "There are no more secrets. You know everything about me now, and I love you even more for it." Outside, Ethan played in the yard with a ball Michael had given him. David was in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Margaret helped Jennifer care for Hope. Catherine was at the Bean nursing home, having one of her good days. It was a different kind of family, built not by blood but by choice and love. A family born from pain, but finding strength in unity to overcome any obstacle. Michael picked up Hope and went into the yard. "Come here, David," he called. "Ethan, you too." The four of them sat on the grass. Hope crawled between them, laughing and playing. "Everyone," Michael said, "I want you to know this is the family I always dreamed of having. Not the family I was born into, but the family I chose." "And we chose you too," David replied. "And I chose all of you," Ethan said, hugging Michael. Jennifer appeared at the kitchen door, watching the scene. "Dinner's ready," she announced. During dinner, as they did every night, each shared how their day had gone. David talked about the restaurant's customers, Ethan about high school, Michael about work, Jennifer about the things Hope had done. "Tomorrow we're visiting Grandma Catherine," Jennifer said. "Can I come too?" Ethan asked. "Of course you can, you're part of the family." After dinner, while David and Ethan washed the dishes, Michael and Jennifer sat on the porch with Hope. "Michael," Jennifer said, "there's something I've always wanted to ask you." "What is it?" "That day you found me at the boarding house, when you said you loved me no matter what, were you serious or were you just trying to convince me to come back?" Michael thought for a moment before answering. "Jennifer, at that time, I didn't know even half of what I know about you now. I didn't know about David, about your mother, about all the sacrifices you'd made. I only knew that you were the woman I loved and that I couldn't live without you. And today I know you're even more amazing than I ever imagined. You carried the weight of the world on your shoulders and still managed to be a loving and devoted wife. You're my heroine, Jennifer." Jennifer kissed Michael softly. "And you're my hero, for accepting everything, for embracing my family, for turning our pain into joy." At that moment, David appeared on the porch. "Sorry to interrupt, but a letter arrived for you." Michael opened the letter. It was from the hospital where Mrs. Catherine had been staying. "What is it?" Jennifer asked, worried. "It's about your mother." Michael quickly read the letter. "Jennifer, they're saying Mrs. Catherine has shown significant improvement. The doctors want to talk to us about the possibility of her coming to live at home." Jennifer's eyes widened. "Really? Really? They think being in a family environment could speed up her recovery." Jennifer hugged Michael tightly. "Would you be okay with that? Taking care of my mum too? Jennifer, your mother is my mother-in-law. She's Hope's grandmother. Of course I'd be okay with it. David, who had overheard the conversation, smiled. The house is going to get even fuller. And even happier, added Ethan, who came running from the kitchen. The following week, they went to talk to the doctors about Mrs. Catherine. She's had an inexplicable improvement, said the attending physician. It's not a cure, but it's a surprising stabilization. We believe the love of her family may be contributing to it. What would we need to do to bring her home, Indy? Michael asked. You'd need a daytime caregiver and a family member always present. She can't be left alone. She won't be, Jennifer said. We have a big family. Michael did the math quickly. With the restaurant's income and his salary, they could afford a caregiver and keep Mrs. Catherine comfortably at home. We want to try, Michael said. A month later, Mrs. Catherine was home. On good days, she talked to everyone, played with Hope, and helped David in the kitchen. On bad days, she was confused but surrounded by love and care. Jennifer, Mrs. Catherine said one Sunday morning while the whole family was gathered. In the backyard, you've built a beautiful family. Thank you, Mom. Is David doing okay? Yes, Mom. David is doing really well. And Michael, is he a good husband? The best in the world. And Hope? Where's my granddaughter? Right here, Grandma, Jennifer said, placing Hope on Mrs. Catherine's lap. Michael watched the scene with emotion. 5 generations together in the backyard. Mrs. Catherine, Jennifer, David himself, Ethan, who was already considered an adopted son, and Hope. Ethan, Michael called. Come here. The boy approached. I want to ask you something. Serious? Go ahead. Would you like us to officially adopt you, for you and Mrs. Margaret to become our official family? Ethan was speechless for a few seconds. Really? Really? We've already talked to Mrs. Margaret, and she agreed. Do you want this? Ethan hugged Michael tightly. I do, I really do. Mrs. Margaret, who had been watching from the porch, came closer. Michael, Jennifer, are you sure about this? It's a big responsibility. Mrs. Margaret, Jennifer said, Ethan saved our family. Now we want to give back. We want to be his family too. And you'll be Hope's official grandma, Michael added. Mrs. Margaret, a strong woman who had raised her grandson alone, broke into tears. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving Ethan a family. 6 months later, Ethan's adoption was finalized. Michael and Jennifer became his legal parents, and Mrs. Margaret moved into a small house on the property Michael had bought. Now we're officially a family, Michael said during the adoption celebration. A different kind of family, David said. A chosen family, said Jennifer. A real family, said Ethan. The best family in the world, said Margaret. Our family, said Catherine during one of her lucid moments. Hope, now a 1.5 years old, crawled among them, spoiled by every member of the family. 2 years had passed. The second. Chance Restaurant had become a landmark in town. David had become a recognized chef. Jennifer successfully managed the business, and Michael continued working, but now with much more motivation. Ethan, at 12 years old, was excelling in high school and had shown an interest in cooking, learning from David. Uncle David, Ethan said one day, can I work at the restaurant during my break? Of course you can. I'll teach you everything. I know. And I'll teach you the administrative side, Jennifer added. Michael watched their interactions with constant satisfaction. Each day brought new discoveries, new moments of happiness. One Sunday afternoon, as the whole family gathered, in the backyard, Michael turned to Jennifer. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you regret anything? Jennifer thought for a moment. I regret taking so long to trust you. I regret carrying everything alone for so long. I regret almost giving up. And what don't you regret? I don't regret taking care of David. I don't regret taking care of Mom. I don't regret meeting you. I don't regret building this family. Neither do I. At that moment, David approached. Michael, Jennifer, I want to tell you something. What is it? They asked together. I've met someone, a woman. She also has mental health struggles, but she's getting treatment. I'd like to introduce her to the family. Michael and Jennifer exchanged a glance and smiled. Of course, David. Whenever you're ready, Jennifer said. Her name is Rachel. She's a psychologist who works in mental health rehabilitation. We met at the support group. She sounds perfect for you, Michael said. The following week, David brought Rachel to dinner. She was a 35-year-old woman, intelligent, warm, and she fit right into the family dynamic. Rachel, Ethan said during dinner, do you want to be part of our family too? Rachel laughed. If you'll have me, I'd love to. We accept anyone who loves Uncle David, said Hope, who at 3 years old already spoke very well. 6 more. Months passed, and David announced he had proposed to Rachel. We're getting married here at home, he said, with the whole family together. The wedding was simple but emotional. In the backyard, decorated with flowers Margaret had planted, David and Rachel married, surrounded by love. David, Michael said in his speech, you're so much more than my brother-in-law. You're my brother, my partner, my friend. Rachel, welcome to our crazy, wonderful family. Michael, David replied, thank you for giving me a family. Thank you for showing me it's possible to start over. After the wedding, Rachel moved in. The house was getting crowded, but no one minded. It was full of love. I think we need a bigger house, Jennifer said one day. Or we could add more rooms, Michael suggested. Or we could buy the house next door. It's for sale, David said. They ended up buying the neighboring house and connecting the two with a walkway. Now, they had enough space for the whole family to grow. 4 years after David's wedding, he and Rachel announced they were expecting a baby. Hope is going to have a little cousin, Ethan exclaimed, now 16. And I'm going to be an aunt, said Hope, now 5. David and Rachel's baby, a boy named Joshua, in honor of Ethan, whose middle name was Joshua, was born on a spring morning. Look, Hope, said Jennifer, showing the baby to her daughter. This is your cousin Joshua. He's so tiny, said Hope. Can I teach him how to play? When he grows a little, you can teach him everything. Ethan, now a responsible teenager, offered to help take care of the baby. I'll be the big brother he needs, said Ethan. Michael watched his growing family with a constant sense of gratitude. From a childless couple, they had become a large and happy family. One day, they received an unexpected visit. It was Dr. Richard, the physician who had operated on David. Dr. Richard, Jennifer exclaimed. What a wonderful surprise. I came because I have a proposal for you, said the doctor. What kind of proposal? Asked Michael. I'm writing a book about successful mental health cases. David's story is one of the most inspiring I've ever seen. I'd like to include it in the book, if you'll allow me. David, who had been playing with Joshua in the backyard, overheard the conversation and approached. Doctor, do you think our story could help others? I'm certain of it. David, your recovery was exceptional. Not just because of the surgery, but because of the loving and supportive environment you all created. That could inspire other families. Then you can write it, said David. If our story helps even one family, it's worth it. 6 months later, the book Second Chances, Stories of Mental Health Recovery was published. The story of Michael's family filled an entire chapter. The book's release brought attention to the Second Chance restaurant. They began receiving visitors from other towns, people eager to learn about the family's journey. Michael, Jennifer said one day, can you believe we've become an example for others? Jennifer, we just did what any family would do. We took care of each other. Not every family would do what you did, said Rachel, who had been listening. You turned love into action. Ethan, now 18 and about to start at the University of California, had decided to study psychology. I want to work with families, he said. I want to help people build families like ours. It's a beautiful field, Rachel replied. I'll help you however I can. Hope, now 7, had grown into a cheerful and affectionate child, caring for Joshua with the tenderness of an older sister. Daddy, Hope said one day, why is our family different from others? Different how? At high school, the kids just have a mom, dad, and siblings. We have all that, plus uncles, grandmas, cousins. Michael crouched down to her level. Hope, our family is made of people who chose to love each other. It's not better or worse than other families, just different. I like our family. I like it very much too. That evening, Michael was on the porch when Jennifer joined him. "What are you thinking about?" "I was remembering that day at Evergreen Cemetery." "Do you remember?" "How could I forget? It was the worst and best day of my life at the same time." "Why the best?" "Because it was the day I stopped lying to you. The day our real family began." Michael hugged Jennifer. "You know what stands out most to me in all of this?" "What?" "How an 8-year-old boy changed so many lives. If Ethan hadn't seen you at the bakery, if he hadn't told me." "Ethan was our angel," Jennifer agreed. "And now he's our son." 10 years had passed since that day at the cemetery. The family had grown, changed, and evolved, but always kept the same core of love and support. The Second Chance restaurant had become a small chain with 3 locations in the city. David was the head chef. Jennifer managed the business. Michael provided financial support, and Ethan, now a psychology graduate, counseled employees and their families. Rachel had become a family therapist, specializing in unconventional families. Hope, at 15, helped with weekend service at the restaurant. Joshua, now 8, was already showing interest in his father's cooking. Mrs. Catherine had passed, away peacefully at 72, surrounded by her entire family. Her final years had been her happiest since the onset of her illness. Mrs. Margaret, now 80, still lived in the little house in the back, serving as the loving grandmother to all the family's children. One Sunday afternoon, the whole family gathered in the backyard for their traditional Sunday lunch. There were now 15 people around the table: Michael, Jennifer, Hope, Ethan, who had married a college classmate, David, Rachel, Joshua, Ethan's 3 children, Mrs. Margaret, and a few others who had become family over the years. "Everyone," Michael said, standing to make a toast. "I'd like to propose a toast." They all raised their glasses. 15 years ago, I thought I'd lost everything. Today, I look around this table and realize I've actually found everything. I found a family I never planned for, but one that's perfect for me." "Michael," Jennifer said, "you turned our pain into joy, our secrets into honesty, our loneliness into community." "We all did that together," David corrected. "And we'll keep doing it," Ethan added. The toast was made with tears of joy and genuine smiles. After lunch, Michael walked to Evergreen Cemetery, just a few blocks from the house. He still visited the place where it had all begun, not out of sadness, but gratitude. He stopped at the spot where he'd wept 15 years earlier, where Ethan had hugged him for the first time, where he'd discovered Jennifer was still alive. "Thank you," he whispered, to no one in particular, and to everyone at once. Jennifer appeared beside him. "Thank you for what?" "For everything, for the second chance, for our family, for the love, for the life we've built." "Michael, can I make one last confession?" "Of course." "That day in the boarding house room, the only thing that kept me from giving up completely was the memory of your love. Even though I thought you'd never forgive me, I knew you had truly loved me. And I still love you. More than the first day. I love you more too, because now I love you knowing the whole truth." They walked back home hand in hand, watching through the window as their family still gathered in the backyard. Children playing, adults talking, grandparents telling stories. "Jennifer," Michael said before they went inside, "if you could go back and change one thing in this story, what would it be?" Jennifer thought for a moment. "Just one thing." "What?" "I would have told you the truth from the beginning. I would have trusted our love from day one. And I would have done the same thing I did later, loved you even more." They stepped inside, where Joshua came running toward them. "Grandpa Michael, Grandma Jennifer, come see what I drew." Joshua showed them a picture of the whole family, gathered in the backyard, each person labeled by name. "It's perfect, Joshua," Jennifer said. "It's our family," Joshua said proudly. "It's our family," Michael repeated, hugging his grandson. End of story. And now, dear listener, tell us, what did you think of this story of resilience and family love? Did Michael make the right choice by forgiving Jennifer and embracing his whole family? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss other moving stories like this one. Thank you so much for joining us.